Okay, fellow sleuths, we are on to page 11, which is on all fours. And I want you to remember that slow and steady works for music too. If you remember the story of the tortoise and the hare, where the tortoise is slow and the hare is fast, and the hare thinks he's going to win because he's fast, but the tortoise is that steady, slow pace. And I find that my students that will be patient and take it slow and steady, at the end of a year or at the end of 2 years, they're like pretty good musicians, and they're able to sight read, and it becomes like this, like, wow, if you just put this music in front of me, I can play. And that's my goal for you. So let's look at page 11. We have our clef sign, time signature, and then we have quarter notes mixed with some half notes in this one. And this is a pattern piece exercise, and we're introducing a new note. So you know A, B, C sharp. Now we are going to learn D, which is third finger on the A string. And you've seen this note before, but I didn't push for you to necessarily know the name of this note. But now I want you to make sure that you're looking at this music and you're saying the note name out loud, and you're being very aware of where it is on your instrument. And we have 2 repeated notes of each one, up and back down, then 1 repeated of each, up and back down, then an open A, then we roll our bow, lazy, to the D string, and then we have D, E, F sharp. The next note is G. And I'm not going to talk to you too much about octaves today, because we are getting to that in the next couple of pages, where we're actually going to learn 1 octave scales. But third finger is G on the D string, and it is 1 octave above your open G. And then you have the same pattern, 2 and 1, and then whole notes, roll your bow to the G string. And if you're ticking other strings, make sure you go back and practice them again. Then we have G, then you know we start over with A, then second finger is B, and third finger is C. And this C in the middle line here is middle C. And I don't know that it's called middle C for viola, but it is on the middle line of the C clef for viola. On piano, it is also called middle C. Then we go same pattern, up and back down. Then we roll to the C string, and we have C, A, B, C, D, E, and then third finger is F on the C string. And this is where they are on your staff. It's very important, and I will say this again, it's very important that you look at the music, you say the notes out loud. I want you to get a connection in your neurological system of what the note looks like, what it sounds like, and where it is on your instrument. So not only where it is on the staff, but where it is on your instrument is very important. And the name. You can kind of get to that point where you're like, oh, I know that's third finger, but I want you to know that that's third finger A string D. So you know all 3 of those things. And then, of course, the thing that we've talked about a little bit is that you'll know that, and that's a quarter note. So you only hold it for 1 beat. So this is your exercise. It's third finger. You've already learned third finger, so I expect that this will be pretty easy for you to go A, first finger B, second finger C sharp, third finger D. I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to do that. But now you start with the hovercraft, and you go 1, 2, 3. And you're going to put them down, leave them all down. If third finger's down, leave all 3 fingers down, and then pick up 1 at a time. Coming back down. Say the notes out loud, stare at your music. Get this in your long-term memory. You'll be forever grateful that you slowly took the time to do this now, rather than not having this really good foundation to your musical education. And then in this video, we're going to talk about what a half step is and what a whole step is. So there's two places in music where there's a natural half step and a natural whole step. And the piano is a really good way to kind of see them. So see how on the piano you have the ivory keys and you have the ebony keys, and in between most of the ivory keys there is an ebony key. And then we come to a spot here where there's two ivories together. Then we have ebony, ivory, ebony, ivory, ebony, ivory, ivory. Well, a half step, guys, is whatever note is the very next note. So on piano, if I play in a part in the piano, it's out of tune. It's a really old, beautiful piano, but it has a hard time staying in tune. So we have D, C. This is actually middle C on the piano. Then you have a half step, half step, half step, half step, half step. So we have two spots where there's two half steps. This is C, D, E, F. Then G, A, B, C. So the two natural half step spots are between E and F and B and C. So the black keys for now are either going to be a sharp note or a flat note. So we have C, C sharp. Let's pretend that they're all sharps for now because you're learning sharps. D, D sharp, E, F. Well, E sharp is also F because it's a half step. So there are E sharps, but it'll be the same note as F in your music. So important for you to know what a half step is. Now, on your viola, the half step is when second finger, for now, the half step that you're going to learn will be when second finger touches third finger. So when second finger is friends with third finger, these two notes are a half step. When second finger touches first finger, then first finger to second finger is a half step. Whenever there's a space or a finger distance kind of in between, that's a whole step. But we're talking about half steps right now, but I want you to know that there's a difference. If your fingers are touching, they're half steps. If there's a finger distance in between, then that's a whole step. So let's play these natural half steps. So we know in your music that B to C is a natural half step. So there's your B to C. And then E to F is the other natural half step. So there's that one on the C string. So those are the two spots that we have learned as you have played half steps. So we're going to go on the G string and play second finger to third finger. So play with me. 1, 2, ready, play. So B to C is a half step. So there's one half step. I'm going to turn around. This is hard to do because my chair catches in the rug. So there's one set of half steps, B to C. Now the next measure goes E to F. So here's your, on the C string. And then we skip back and go. Very simple exercise. It's just to get you realizing what a half step is. Now, a whole step. So a whole step has a note in between. So we saw that on the piano. So this is C, D. That's a whole step because there's a note in between them. D to E is a whole step because there's a note in between. So on the piano, it's easy to see. On viola, the cool thing is that it's kind of easy to see too. So I want you to know that C, open C, to first finger. If I flip around this way, it might be easier to see. Open C to first finger is a whole step. And at some point in your music training, you're going to learn the half step back here because there is a note back against the nut. But for right now, your first finger tape is a whole step away from your open string, C to D. Then we know E, and D to E is a whole step because there's a note in between here that we haven't learned yet, but it's still there. And then third finger we know is a half step. Then I'll share with you that every time you play third finger to the next highest open string, third finger to the next highest open string is a whole step as well because there's an extended third finger or what's called a low fourth finger that will go right here. So if we did every half step, it would be C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F natural, F sharp, and open G. So we're only going to concern ourselves with open, one, high second finger, third, then open. And third to open is a whole step. Then open to first is a whole step. First to high second is a whole step. And second to third is a half step. Then open to first is a whole step. Then high, and those are our natural ones, so I'm only going to worry about the C notes and the G notes right now. But A to B is a whole step, and those are all whole steps because there's a note in between. This is a really important concept because if you know what a whole step and a half step is, then the pattern of your major scales only encompasses whole and half steps. So I want you to practice this page. Get in your mind, fingers touching, half step. Open to first, whole step. Third to open string, whole step. So play page 11 and then the next page, I'll give you a little sneak peek because this gets into some real good nitty-gritty of playing music, and that is your scales and musical alphabet. So we're going to learn C major, G major, and D major. And if you look over here, we're going to add sharps over next to your key signature. I'm sorry, your key signature are the sharps next to your C clef sign. So see how those two sharps are mixed in between sorry, I'm getting distracted because I know John's coming home from the post office. So we have the alto clef, then you have two sharps, and then 4/4 alto clef, one sharp, then the 4/4. And so we're going to learn key signatures along with your time signatures. So you're getting to some nitty-gritty stuff that's important to know for foundation of playing your instrument. So have a great week, and the next video will be page 12 and 13, and we'll continue this to crack this viola case.